Hi everyone, this is Jake Fanning from PicMonkey. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm the social community coordinator here at PicMonkey, and today I am joined by our Director of Product, Adrian Pirro, our Head of Mobile Engineering, Travis Roberson, and our Senior Social Media Manager and Customer Evangelist, Fabiola Milliken. Today we're going to be talking about new PicMonkey, namely about the new features we've recently released, as well as looking into the future a bit to see what we have planned for PicMonkey for 2020 and beyond. We'll also be holding a Q&A portion at the end, so please feel free to submit your questions while we're going, and we will get to those towards the end. So welcome, guys. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah, doing great.
Good to hear. I'm so glad to see everybody and that you guys are all staying nice and safe. We had originally planned to do this in PicMonkey's headquarters and to have it, in person and really personable. So we're evolving here and we're going through webcam, still pretty personable. So we're happy to go ahead and get started here. So before we do get into the actual webinar, I was really hoping that we could get a little more information about you guys and your background and what you do here at PicMonkey. So Adrian, if we could start with you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Adrian Pirro. I'm the Director of Product, and I work with both the product managers and the UX team, and we work directly with all the engineers and editorial team and all of that to create features for the product, for the editor, and for the website in general. I've been at PicMonkey about 2.5 years, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys more about what we're up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adrian. Fabs.
I'm Fabs. I run social, and I also do a lot of customer advocacy and evangelism at PicMonkey, but also have been really fortunate to be here for about almost 4 years now. I started off as an intern, just using the tool. I was a superpower user and then evolved into the marketer that I am today. And I use PicMonkey every single day for my job, which is the coolest part. And I've really seen it grow. So it's great. I've been growing with it. It's been really awesome. So big PicMonkey fan over here.
Thank you, Fabs. And Travis.
Hi guys, I'm Travis Roberson. I'm head of mobile engineering here at PicMonkey and been here for a little bit over 5 years at this point. And it's been really cool to watch PicMonkey grow in that time period from kind of basically what was a online photo editor into a multi-platform suite of really powerful tools that have empowered folks like yourselves to create some really amazing stuff. So I'm really excited about 2020, and I'm looking forward to giving you guys a bit of a teaser as into what's in store today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So as we get started, I'd really like to start out by talking about feedback. So I know if any of you are in our Facebook group or just they've ever submitted a ticket and given feedback, we get a ton of feedback and we do a ton with it. So I'd love to have Adrian talk a little about how we take in feedback, why it's so important, and how that translates into changes inside the editor or new features completely. So Adrian, could you talk a little about that?
Yeah, sure. So I want to first mention that there's 3 different types of feedback that we think about on the product side. So we have data that is just, information about how customers are using the product. We can see where customers are having struggles and things like that through some of our data. We also have volunteered feedback, and that's feedback maybe you're more familiar with. You might submit a request or a comment to the customer support team, or you might use our feedback form on the homepage and then in the main nav on the top right, or you might write into some of our social channels as a response to a feature you really liked or a pain point that you're having. And that volunteered feedback is really important. And then we also sometimes do solicited feedback where we have surveys or things that we're asking people to participate in, requesting feedback about a specific topic or a feature that we might be in the works developing and want to understand more about. So those three types of feedback are all used together to help us to form ideas about what's going to be most valuable and meaningful to the customer when we're developing new products and when we're thinking about the roadmap of things that we might be able to do to provide more functionality to all of you. And so specifically, I wanted to give the example of brand kits. You may have had the chance to see brand kits in the product that were released a few weeks ago. And brand kits was really something that took all three of these elements of feedback into consideration. For a while, we've been hearing about customers asking specifically for brand kits. And we reached out to some of those customers to better understand what they meant when they said brand kits, to make sure that when we were developing something, that it matched our customers' expectations. We were also soliciting feedback from people about how they need to develop their brand or their business and how PicMonkey could help them, or how they're even using other tools to do that work that we might be able to help them do even more easily in PicMonkey. Not everybody is able to articulate that a brand kit is exactly what it is that they're needing in order to make that process smoother, but by us asking questions and being able to kind of say, well, how would you use that logo, or how would color palettes help you with developing your designs or a campaign and things like that, we were able to kind of gather the information that we felt like we needed to release brand kits as we did. But I think it's also important to use data and to use follow-on feedback that we've been requesting and receiving from people about brand kits, because that's equally informing what we do with brand kits next. So we are already in the process of optimizing brand kits to be able to offer multiple brand kits to our customers, because right now each person can only have one. We've heard a lot of feedback about the fact that, I really wish I could create more than one, because I actually, I volunteer for this organization and I have my job, and I want to be able to have those two brand kits work separately. Or, we've also heard feedback about the color palettes and the fonts, and wanting to be able to have multiple color palettes and multiple font pairings. So we're working on how we can expand brand kits to be able to offer those things as well. And that's all based on feedback that we're getting from customers. So, it's equally as important for us to hear the things that you like, as well as hearing about the things that are pain points, because all of those inputs help us form a better understanding of what it means to produce the right product for you guys. And knowing what it is that's important to you that went well really helps us to make sure we protect those things. And then also hearing that feedback about what could be made better, or what things continue to be pain points or opportunities for you, helps us to then also iterate and make the changes we think are going to be most beneficial to the customer. Did I answer your question, Jake? Was there another part of that?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, no, and I want to say, like, I'm always really heartened by the way in which we do take feedback, and the way we access it and look through it. I know I've seen people on your team before, some of the project managers, just be like obsessive about feedback to just such an amazing degree, and like almost stressing out, like we want to actually, we really want to make this the best tool we can for people, and really kind of go in depth in people's feedback and get back and forth talking to them, and really get a hold of them, just to try to figure out more so what they, what they're meaning by certain things, and really take that to heart. So that is always really wonderful.
Yeah, the follow-up is really important to us. And, we obviously don't follow up on every piece of feedback, but a lot of times it can be the collating of a lot of similar feedback, or it could be that we get feedback and being able to reach back out to the person and say, like, hey, what did you mean by this, really has helped us to better articulate the type of change that we think we need to make in the product to accommodate the feedback that we've received. And I think that just being able to have that relationship with our customers has really kind of helped us develop products that we think are more in line with what our customers really want. So
awesome. Thank you so much. So Adrienne, speaking of brand kits, it's still fairly new. I would really love if you could kind of go in and give us a little background about brand kits, as well as a few of the other features we've recently released, like background remover, And then I think over the summer or maybe a little before, we released stock photos
Yep.
in the product. And I'd really love if you could give me a little overview of those three.
Yeah. I'll start with stock photos since that was first. Stock photos is a really interesting one where we had heard, feedback about people wanting to be able to use content in different ways. And actually, we did hear some feedback about people specifically requesting the ability to have stock content PicMonkey, but a lot of the customer feedback that we were getting about or that led us to want to develop stock photography assets in PicMonkey and have that integrated into the editor the way that we do had more to do with those conversations that we were having with people as we were reaching out. That being able to go like, well, how are you sourcing content? Where do you get your photos or your assets from? Where are you getting your graphic content, and how are you merging that with the stuff we already provide? And being able to have those conversations back really illuminated for us some of the workflows that people were going through to use stock photography in PicMonkey. People were, saying, well, I go to the Unsplash website and I look for this and I pull this thing down and then I bring it into PicMonkey and I do these edits and then I save it this way, but then I always open it back up and I make more edits when I need to use it for this design or that design. And thinking about how we could shorten that workflow for people and make it easier for them to get their work done faster and more efficiently is really what led us to imagine what we could do with stock content in our product. And we continue to think of it that way. Just being able to, like, moving templates, for example, into the editor doesn't seem on the surface like it's a really big deal. It's just taking our template content and moving it into the editor. But actually a big part of that was imagined because it was to shorten the workflow process for our customers that we were talking to, that we were watching people explain their workflows and having them demonstrate for us what they were doing when they were looking for template content. And they were going into the editor, looking at a template, trying to do some edits, realizing it wasn't quite the one they were looking for, going back out, searching for templates, bringing them back in, and they were kind of building out their hub with all these documents that they didn't really end up using. And they were like, that search process was really laborious for them. So we took that feedback, that information we were getting by talking with customers about their flow, and realized, like, if we could just bring this into editor, we could shortcut that work. We could allow for searching and for using of those templates to be a lot faster. So those are some examples of how we did that. With background remover, very similar. Few people were asking specifically for it. And we were definitely listening to that feedback. We've always thought that some sort of way to magically remove the background would be phenomenal. But we also wanted to make sure that it was very PicMonkey. We try to give our customers as much control over their documents as possible, that when you remove something like the background, we want to make sure that you feel like if it wasn't exactly what you wanted, you could still paint that back in, you could get it back, you could edit it, you could do something creative with that maybe. And so we really wanted to make sure that we could make it work with things like the paint on and erase tools that we already had. And that was definitely a challenge for us. And as we figured out those types of things, then it kind of became like, okay, so what are people actually going to do with this background remover? Can we think more about our YouTube customers who are trying to create YouTube thumbnails for their videos? Could we think about the e-commerce person who has a bunch of product shots that they're trying to remove the background for to be compliant with whatever platform they're posting their online store to? And so as we started to then reach out and talk to customers that fit those types of descriptions, we were getting more and more information about how they might be able to use a tool like that. And then that's how we were able to kind of put background remover together the way that we did. And brand kits, as I mentioned, this is an ongoing iterative process for us for all of our features and tools. And so, with brand kits, it's really the same thing. I mean, being able to kind of have this spark of inspiration of like, well, I think this is what we want to do for our customers. I think this is what would be meaningful to them. But then having that dialogue, taking all the feedback historically that we've received that's in this category, being able to sift through that collectively so that we can kind of find patterns, find things that are similar about what people are requesting, so that what we deliver isn't just what we imagine brand kits to be, or we imagine, you know, stock content to be, but it's really in an effort to make sure that we're serving what we think is going to be most meaningful to the customers.
Yeah, no, and I really like that it is an iterative process. So, you know, one thing I've talked about, especially in our Facebook group, is just I'll have folks that will release something new, and we will get some feedback, good or bad. And I'll take that directly to your team, and we work on, you know, altering that and keeping those iterations up, just to make sure that it does serve the customer the best, which I think is really wonderful, that it is constantly changing for the better. Right. So with that, now that we've kind of gone over the stuff we've recently released, I'd really love to have Fabiola give us a little of how she uses these things and these new tools. So Fabs, as I mentioned, is our senior social media manager. And she has a plethora of experience using the tools we just talked about, as well as new PicMonkey in general. And she uses them every day to market PicMonkey. So I'd love to kind of have your expertise on how you use it, and how, if any, these have kind of helped you with your workflow and helped you get stuff out more efficiently.
Yeah, I think Adrian was spot on saying how like learning about the user's workflow has helped PicMonkey make the changes that we've needed to make our workflow so much easier. And that is exactly how I feel. I feel like before, I've always used PicMonkey to create my visuals for marketing. I just think there were a lot more steps, even if it was multiple PicMonkey tabs open. Like I had so many different steps, and having stock photos just all right there. And the way that you use stock photos isn't even, it's not even like a traditional, like, you really can use them in so many ways in PicMonkey, whether it's adding textures to things, or just like placeholders or vision boards, or like place to get started. Like it has opened up so many like design really opportunities to like optimize the way that you really create any visuals. Having it there, I think if it wasn't there, I wouldn't even think of going to search for an image to support a design that I'm working on. So that's been huge, having stock photos in there. And then also brand kits. Obviously, obviously our team is small. PicMonkey isn't like an enormous marketing team or an enormous team in general. We're intimate, we're small, we're mighty. And honestly, that's what makes using PicMonkey so cool. It's like I'm literally like, I have all of my brand assets stored in there, and I was a part of the process of getting it in there. And it's so hands-on. I feel so like organized all the time. I feel like my consistency with the brand is always so clean, since my favorite thing about brand kits is that it follows you everywhere you go. It doesn't matter if you're in like graphics or in your fonts, or everywhere you are, your brand is right there. So you're
we used to have to chase it around to get everything.
Yes,
it's
totally.
Right there.
Like you can't escape it. So that's been so helpful for me. And then things like, and it's just the new PicMonkey, I think, is just all about like freedom of design, and like freedom of really accomplishing any kind of design that you want. Like I wouldn't consider myself a professional designer, but I consider myself a professional PicMonkeyer, which is kind of the same thing. I
see your work, Fabs.
I see designs out there that I'm like, this is incredible. Like this is a Coca-Cola or like whatever ad campaign, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. Like would love to do something like this. And with the tools that we've added and the new features and new PicMonkey in general, you can truly accomplish almost any design that you want to. And that has made my life as a marketer like so much easier, because I can reach a quality of design in less steps in a really easy way. And social media moves so fast. You have to show up every day. You have to create content all the time, and it has to be good. You know, it has to stand out. It has to be something that sticks and resonates with your audience. So being able to like create stuff really fast and really beautifully is literally the most important thing for me. And PicMonkey has definitely reached a point where that's exactly what it does. It helps you create amazing visuals with a really, really, really easy workflow, truly. And of course, there's a learning curve in the beginning. It takes some like getting used to, but it's worth it. Like once you get it, it's truly, truly game changing for any marketer, for any type of digital marketing.
Thank you so much, Fabs. And I'd like to pivot a little bit and talk about our mobile app. So I'm not sure if many of you, I know I've used it. Fabs, I know you're on the mobile app a lot, but we do have a PicMonkey mobile app that is really robust, and it's getting a lot of new updates in 2020. Super exciting. I know we recently just changed the whole home screen, made it a lot sleeker and just more intuitive. So I'd love to have our mobile lead mobile engineer talk a little about what's new for mobile and some of the things we've recently changed with mobile. So Travis, can you take it away there?
Yeah, thanks, Jake. So, the home screen redesign, I think, was really symbolic of us taking a step back and looking at mobile with a fresh perspective for 2020. We spent a lot of time in 2019 kind of asking ourselves, like, well, what does mobile mean for PicMonkey? And, how can we be thoughtful for building out our roadmap for 2020 from a feature set standpoint in the context of mobile? We spent a lot of time doing a bunch of competitive analysis. We ran some focus groups with maybe some of you folks. We did some really annoying in-app surveys, begging you for feedback. We took things like some of the feedback that your team, Jake, had compiled. And we also looked at the desktop product for a lot of inspiration there as well. And we really kind of took all of these learnings and compiled them together to really kind of help drive our 2020 initiative roadmap for mobile. So effectively, we're going to really try a bunch of stuff this year and see what happens. So going back to the home screen redesign in particular, that's really just one in a series of initiatives of really cool stuff coming from mobile this year. We unanimously heard that you guys are really really want to see kind of more new, fresh content coming into the app on a regular basis. So we're consistently updating the app on even a bi-weekly basis with fresh new fonts and graphics and just a lot of really all of the content that makes PicMonkey design super, super unique. Just yesterday, we released the same powerful background remover that recently shipped on desktop. So I really encourage you guys to go check that out. Let's see, what else we have coming here. We're actually going to ship the PM Cares coronavirus kind of related graphic sets in a few days here, all for free.
Yay, that's super exciting.
That's kind of what's coming up in the next week or two. Kind of, if you wanted to talk about kind of what's coming kind of in the next few months, Jake, do you feel like that would be helpful for folks?
Sure. If you have any teasers, I'm happy to hear them.
So kind of on the longer term horizon over the next couple months, we're actually going to kind of refresh our photo filter packs with kind of a bunch of new kind of trending filter packs for your social posts. We're looking to bring in stock images similar to what we just shipped on desktop. And then we're looking into things like bringing in collage and potentially some kind of variation of brand kits that we also have on desktop currently.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't even think I knew that. So, hey.
So stay tuned for more. There's a lot of really great stuff coming for mobile this year. And as always, we read every ask that comes in from you guys, and we'll really do our best to figure out how to incorporate these things into our product roadmap.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Travis. And I'm super excited. Mobile, I think, is going to be really exciting for 2020 and even beyond that. So I'm excited. It's getting a lot of attention, and I'm excited to see what happens. And so speaking of a little teaser, I'd love Adrian to give us kind of the really exciting part of this. Not that feedback's not exciting. I love feedback. But we could get a little teaser of what's to come for new PicMonkey in 2020.
Yeah.
Heard you got some exciting news.
Yeah, sure. We do have exciting things. I think that the way that we develop our products, as I mentioned, is iterative and it's in a rolling fashion. And so a lot of the work that we do as product managers tries to look at how can we build a roadmap of features that we think are going to be really impactful for our customers. But a lot of that changes because as we get more feedback, as we see the environment of what our customers are using our tool for, we often make changes to that roadmap. So a lot of what we are working on right now are things that we might have had ideas about before, but really they've come together in the last couple months. And so and that's a bit about our development process, is kind of solidifying those things in a rolling fashion that allows us to be as relevant and fresh as possible and taking in the most recent customer feedback. So some of the things we have coming, we've got a partnership with Getty coming, where we will be releasing iStock content into our current stock photography section of the editor. So this will be for our pro users. You'll be able to access unlimitedly iStock content, which you would normally need to have a separate subscription for. As a Pro PicMonkey subscriber, you'll be able to get that as part of your subscription, and you'll be able to use that stock content in any of your designs. We are looking to release that, I think, within the next week or so. So hopefully you'll see that coming soon. We are also working on ways that we can expand that so that our basic users can still access that content and see what that's like before they decide whether that's the right asset for them. So that'll also be an iteration that'll come afterwards. We're also working on a feature called Smart Resize, and we have heard about the workflows of a lot of our customers needing to create multiple assets of all different sizes, but with the same visual campaign. A lot of our customers do this for their social channels, or they might do it for multiple e-commerce platforms where the output size of that document might change slightly from platform to platform, but visually you want it to represent your brand, or you want it to represent the campaign that you're putting together, the sale, or the information that you're sharing in your document. And so Smart Resize will allow you to quickly select multiple sizes that you want a single document to then be resized into. And you could do that, just one new document, or you could do it for 15 new documents. And what'll happen is Smart Resize will automatically look at your document, determine what is the background layer, make sure that that fills your new document size, and tries to reposition all of your other assets so that they stay within the frame of all of those new files. And then each one of those documents will be saved to your hub. You can open them separately, make any tweaks that you want to make that are relevant to your design aesthetic or things like that, and then be able to batch export all of those and download them so that they're ready for you to upload to whatever platforms you need them for. So, or share them directly from PicMonkey. And so that's a really great time-saving tool that we're working on, and that should also release in the next week or so. We're also starting to work on a video tool that will allow customers to add video content to their PicMonkey documents. You'll be able to add that content just like you add images today. You'll be able to add text and things like that. We are still in the process of sifting through exactly how we're going to accomplish this, both on a technical side as well as in the user interface and how we are going to be able to release this feature. So I would think that this is something that would release maybe toward the end of June, July timeframe. But those are all things that we're still sorting out right now. I definitely want to let all of you know that when we have done surveys, for example, video content is one, like it gets 50% of people respond saying either they want it or that they already are using it and using another tool in order to accomplish that. And that PicMonkey, if it had that, would make their lives easier because they'd be able to combine their design content and their video content. So these are things we're hearing from people. We know that this is a really big deal, and we're working on it. And so I'm excited to at least share that part with you today, even if I don't have a lot of details about how that will release today, but hopefully we can continue to share that kind of stuff with you guys as we go forward.
Oh, that's super exciting. Thank you so much for that, Adrienne. And honestly, like, I'm torn whether or not, I love playing around with stock photography. When we first had stock photography, I went nuts and had so many different documents open with just kind of pouring through all the different photos. So having an even bigger library is going to be really amazing. But I'm also super excited for smart resize just because of the time that'll save, and just,
Yeah.
you know, it is kind of a pain trying to resize, make sure everything's in, you know, looks the same without distorting anything, and then you have to use crop and this. So this will, I feel like, and Babs can chime in as well, I feel like this is going to save so much time. So
yeah, I'm
yeah,
so
super
excited for Smart Resize. It is going to be, again, a huge time saver.
Yeah. Okay,
And of
so
course, we're
thank you.
doing
Oh,
it
yeah.
in a very PicMonkey. I was just going to say, we're doing it in
Yeah.
a very PicMonkey way that makes sure that, you know, we have all of those dimensions for all those social platforms and everything for you, so that you don't have to, you know, try to find what those social sizes are, and you could just know that when you click on any of those sizes that it can resize to, that you're going to get the right size for that platform, and really trying to help people save time that way.
Exactly. No, it's super helpful, and that really does save on your workflow. You don't have to go looking around for all the different dimensions. It's just right there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, thank you guys so much. I think we're going to move now into taking some questions. So
Okay.
I've got a list here. I will read them off to you guys, and I'll try to find the right person to get to here. So I think this might be for Adrian. And just to let everyone know, if we don't have the answer, we're happy to reach out to people if we can try to develop a better answer here. So have we considered allowing for color profile CYMK?
Oh, that's a really good one. Yes, I've been thinking about it. I think that the hard thing for us right now is just figuring out how that fits into the workflow and how we can best provide that kind of control for the user. I think a big, you know, consideration for anything that we do is making sure that we're serving that range of customer that we have, the customer who needs CMYK and who really understands the details of color profiles and that kind of thing, but making sure that we're able to deliver that in a way that doesn't hinder the user who is just now becoming familiar with PicMonkey and who is maybe not needing to understand that complexity or that level of detail within the document. So there's really an important balance that we at PicMonkey try to achieve, which is that kind of making everything as easy to use, but also expose deep functionality. And I think that that's a really big focus for us. So CMYK kind of falls into that category for me. I'm glad to hear that there's some interest out there. If I know who you are, if Jake knows who you are, then I would love to talk with you more about that, because knowing more about your workflow and how that would help you will certainly help us make better choices about how we can implement that in the future.
Yeah. So again, as we talked about feedback, feedback is super important. Don't feel like, if you don't feel like your feedback's not important, whether it's, constructive criticism or stuff you'd like to see.
Right.
You can always reach out to us either on social media or at help@picmonkey.com and leave it there. We're always happy to have that feedback. And
always listening. Always.
Yeah. So another question for you, Adrian. And I think this is a good one. That kind of goes with the iterative process here, because I know we've talked about it kind of behind the scenes. But why not offer a free trial for background remover?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So we've partnered with another company to offer the parts of the technology that we offer you for background remover, and that is a complicated relationship that we aren't able to do the same kind of tooling as part of our free trial for background remover. And I know that's it's a difficult model for us as well, because we really consider that maybe we shouldn't do that partnership with them if that was going to be the case. But we looked at all the benefits that we thought background remover could provide, and it just outweighed the opportunity that we wanted to be able to provide to our customers. We are in a different negotiation though on mobile, and so I don't know if Tiro wants to talk a little bit about the opportunity for customers in trial to be able to buy background remover, but that is something that I believe you're working on.
Yeah, so we just shipped background remover on mobile on iOS only earlier this week. And one of the things that we struggled with as well is in the ecosystem of Apple, we're a bit limited as far as how we can kind of provide free trials and the ability to kind of bill through and purchase a subscription directly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we took a little bit of a different approach on mobile, whereas if you guys want to try remove background on mobile, we do give you 3 trials of 3 usages of remove background while you're in trial, so you can hopefully experience the power of it and see what else the mobile app has to offer. And then our hope is that you'll see enough value there to you know, where you'll stay a subscriber with us. But one of those cases of just us doing something a little bit differently on mobile, given the kind of constraints of what we're operating under. So if you guys want to try it, feel free to, and you don't already have a pro subscription, I'd love to see you guys come and try it out and give us some feedback.
We're also happy to help customers direct if there is, you know, an image that really you think would help exemplify what background remover could do for you. Reach out to help. We're, you know, the customer support team is really here to help you guys understand that. And so even though we have some technical constraints, you know, we'd be happy to remove the background on 1 or 2 images for you so that you can see, you know, what does that really look like, if that's going to help you to know if that tool is going to be helpful for you or not.
Yeah, and there's lots of
that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have tutorials as well. So
many. You can see how it's used. We've had a lot of customer like meetups around the U.S. And a lot of times when we leave, people are like, well, they'll email me pictures and they're like, can you just take it off this one? I want to see how how it works, like how it looks. And it's just 1 click, and we're really, really happy to do it. So email me, email support. We're super happy to help.
and then another one for Adrian here. Do you, and just to see if you know this as well, for the iStock, do we know if those are going to be royalty free, in that customers will be able to use them without, just like we have with current stock photography?
Yeah, the implementation will be the same as our current stock photography content. We have worked with Getty to make sure anything that had really restricted access because of royalties would be not part of the content that we would provide. We want to make sure that, you know, one of the principles that we kind of develop by is that we want to make sure that at least, you know, for that content being served up on desktop, that we are not limiting people, you know, and kind of, you know, making it confusing about what they have access to or don't. And so we negotiated with Getty to make sure that that content would be royalty free. So the content we'll be providing will be able to be used the way that you need to use it. So.
Awesome. And then for Fabs, let's see, saw this a second ago, sorry guys. What would you say is probably the simplest way to erase unwanted material in a background?
Background remove.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. If you don't want to remove your whole background, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the clone tool. It works like magic. So I'm not sure if this person's asking if they actually want to remove their whole background or just something unwanted in it. But like, let's say that little air vent behind Travis's head, easily in a picture, I can use my clone tool to select a source, which would be the wall right next to it, which is the same color, and then paint it right above that little air conditioning thing, and it would cover it. Honestly works like magic. So there's tons of tutorials on how to use clone to remove unwanted stuff, but you can also always just reach out and we can help you figure it out.
Yeah, awesome.
I think one of the differentiators for our background remove tool as well is that if you did want to remove most of the background, but maybe not all of it, you can use the background remover tool, remove the background, and then actually paint back in pieces. Yeah, and really refine the way that that background remove worked. So, you know, if you did want to keep in certain parts of the background, you could always do it that way as well.
Yep, and we have that same ability on mobile as well. So we're cross-platform in that respect.
I actually didn't know that. That's really awesome. And then I have another question. This one's going to be for Adrian. Is there any news on a collage tool for new PicMonkey?
I'm glad you bring that up. This is another one where we really feel like We've started to get a lot of feedback about this. We are in the process of talking with customers who use Collage right now, trying to get more feedback on using it, what's really for them when using the Collage tool, what makes them want to use PicMonkey's old Collage tool that would help them to then have that Collage tool in new PicMonkey. And so we've been really working hard on that. I will say I don't have any details about what we're going to release or when we're going to release it, but it is something we're focused on, and a problem that we really want to solve for our customers. And so that will be something that'll be a focus, certainly, you know, in the next 3 to 6 months.
Awesome. No, that's good to hear. I know I've heard a ton about Collage, and so I'm really happy to hear we're moving forward with that. So that is good.
Yeah.
Let's see. And anybody asking for tutorials, we do have a resource center. So picmonkey.com/blog. And I think the resource center is also listed on your hub, your home screen. So please feel free to, please feel free to head there or reach out, like I said, to help@picmonkey.com. Our support team is wonderful and is happy to help. And they're happy to help with tutorials, to help with technical issues, just happy to help. So, and I think that is about it for questions. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. And thanks to everyone who joined with us. We hope you're staying happy, healthy, and safe. And until next time, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye guys, thank you.
Thanks, Jake.